Anthem, a failed AAA title game that's been forgotten and abandoned? Maybe, maybe not. Let's find out. Welcome to the night shift. Today I'm joined by my great friend Evan here, and we're going to be doing a re-review of Anthem. And basically what that means is we all know Anthem. We've seen it. We've heard all the news and stuff like that, but we're here to kind of come back and see, is it worth your time and money? Evan, you there?
Here.
All right. So today we're going to be treating it fairly similar to a review. So we'll still have the similar points. We'll still have story, audio visuals, and gameplay. But I think since Anthem has been out so long, I think we'll generally just skip that synopsis and stuff and just kind of start talking about Anthem's story and how we felt about it. I mean, are you on the same page with me here?
Yeah, I agree. I think after the many millions of people having pre-ordered the thing off of the hype or bought it just the day it came out or the first week, I think the story is pretty well known for people. Even if not, you can probably find it on the internet if you're really that interested.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, out of the two of us, I think you kind of know the story a little bit better than I do. But as far as I'm aware, the story is super, super short. Am I right?
It is it is rather short, I have to admit, but it's not exactly uncommon for games like this that tend to focus on gameplay rather than story. And for me personally, I know you have a different opinion that you say that story is supposedly the most important aspect of a game. I'm not uh, sure I agree 100%. In my opinion, I would say that story and gameplay are tied for first place. They're equally as important in any game.
That
Or well, most games.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get it. And I think as a especially as this game is supposed to be, I kind of agree with you for this one because, like you said, the story is short, and at a certain point, that story even takes a back seat to the gameplay. So, but let's talk about it a little bit. So, story, in my eyes, the story not only was it short, but then turn around, and I felt like there were things in the story that made it rather distant. We're looking at, for one, we only call our character freelancer, so they have nothing to really link you with that character, which I feel distance ourselves from that. You see what I'm saying a little bit?
Point.
Yeah.
See, it's a fair point, but surely you understand why they do that particular why they went that particular route. Supposedly, it's a way to create additional immersion by not having a specific name for your character. It allows the player to essentially imprint themselves upon the character they're playing. Supposedly, it's an immersion thing.
True, and I get that to a degree, but at the same point, I can't help but, especially since it was either last week's, no, it was the 2 weeks ago, our first review. We did Cyberpunk, and it's the same focus. You had your character; it's a super customizable character, but your character had a name. Your name was V, and then that you could be either male or female, and you could fully customize it, and you could be you. So I feel like using the idea of saying, "Oh well, we're just going to call you freelancer," is kind of a cop out at the least.
Kind of lazy.
Yeah, yeah. But aside
I can
from
agree.
that, really, I sit here and I go like, the story for what it was engaging till the end. I think the end was kind of it kind of like built up and then it just kind of crashed down. But aside from that, I think the story was all right.
I agree. For what it was it was a fairly engaging story.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think the for when the story was important, it was. I was always going like, well, what do I got to do next? Okay, so I got to talk to this person, find out about this, and I was always trying to find out more, and that was always intriguing to me. However, I think where this game truly shines or doesn't shine is coming over into this gameplay category. So I think we'll go ahead and move on to that. So I look at this and I go like, okay, this game was destined to be played even after the story was finished. And honestly, in my opinion, I feel like trying to play this game after the story ends is almost like a chore.
It does get to feel that way after you've played for an amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. We have, in-game content. You have 4 strongholds. I think they upgraded it recently to, I think, having 2 extra ones or something like that. But still, you only got like 6 strongholds. Then turn around, and the only other thing you have really to do end game wise are like little like in game missions for like this open world area where you can free roam and fight random enemies or do these little missions that are basically carbon copies of each other. It's just you might help this group or this group or this group. So you kind of seeing what I'm saying here, Evan?
You, I'm sorry, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. I was like,
However,
thought maybe
as
we
far as the
lost you.
gameplay is concerned, no, it's fine, we're fine. As far as the gameplay is concerned, you do have to admit that it is fun. I mean, you got to remember, we're talking
Hmm.
about the javelins, armored mech suits that allow you to give you all types of traversal and combat abilities, and you've got up to 4 different javelins with each with their unique abilities and strengths and weaknesses, and a vast array of weapons and upgrades that can be used.
Right, and I
It's
love every aspect of that. I love the fact that you can go into battle and you can attack from up high or down low, or use this ability, or maybe you like this ability better. That all is fun to me, but I also find that I can't help but look back at what it was supposed to be and compare it to that and go, but it was supposed to be this. I mean,
large mark against it. However,
yeah.
for what it is, I would say that as repetitive as the gameplay is, as tedious as it becomes, and we all know
Mm-hmm.
the grinding for in-game currency, and the constant feeling that you're never able to get enough for what you want, and the store, the the in-game store
Oh
having
yeah.
a very limited selection of items that you can purchase, and the rotation being on like a 1 to 2 day basis. So
Yeah.
if you don't find anything that you want in on one day, you have to wait an entire day or two to hopefully find something you actually want to buy, if you even have enough in-game currency to buy it.
Yeah. Which I mean, at this
But
point,
despite that, it's still pretty decent for what it is.
Yeah, and my big thing is right now. I think the big thing is the fact that they're not done, right? They're continuing on. They've constantly, I won't say that they've been completely transparent, but they have been trying to keep people somewhat informed about how they are working to make the game better. They are working on new stuff, not necessarily for what it is now, but I mean, the last news I saw, they're basically rebuilding this game from the ground up. So Anthem at some point will be something completely different. When or what we're gonna get, I can't tell you. It,
Right. And while I do think it's admirable that they realize their mistakes, BioWare realizes their mistakes and they're trying their best to actually fix them and give them what they promised.
mm-hmm.
And though there are still there's some a gray area as to whether it was really BioWare's fault. There was this whole talk about BioWare being pressured by its parent company EA
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to get the game out early, and they had to cut corners. Now, whether that's 100% true, I don't know. But in their defense, in BioWare's defense, if that's true, then, well, can we really blame BioWare 100%?
I agree. I mean, to some extent, the blame does fall, I think, on EA. But
I
at the
mean,
same
EA has a
point,
lot of blame. EA has shared a lot of blame over the past few years.
that's true. That's true. I mean, we don't even need to really try to dredge up stuff to look at some of the things that have happened in the past.
Exactly.
But I I can't help but look at this and see the not only Anthem situation, but then Cyberpunk's too, because it's a very similar situation. We were shown this gameplay. We were told this is what we're getting. And then when the game releases, it's nothing like what we were shown. And granted, mind you, I don't think we were full blown lied with Anthem too, but still, it's like that sucks. Like it's starting to become a trend, and so at this point, like I think that's what the important thing is that we're putting a stop to stuff like this and holding companies accountable, so then that way this stuff stops happening. This doesn't become a habit. This doesn't become a thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely understand. But there's also something I'd like to point out that it has become a habit for AAA game companies in recent years. This patch and post mentality that they can put out
Yep.
whatever
Right.
type of garbage game they want, and they think it's fine. We'll just patch it and post after everyone gets up in arms about it. And I don't like that. I don't
Right.
like that because it makes them lazy. They think
Eh,
that they can take advantage of the customer base. And
mm-hmm.
I feel I'm very, very pleased to see that the gaming community is starting to stand up and not take it anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think we ought to move on to the
Yeah.
audio and visual.
Yeah. I think at this point, I think we're just kind of trying to beat on a dead horse. I think you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I understand.
But yeah, let's talk about audios and visuals because I think this is a fairly plus size for plus for Anthem side here. I think visual wise, I think especially for an open world, I think this game is fairly good looking. You know, a lot of open worlds they opt out for graphic details to go to like more towards performance. And yeah, Anthem had its rocky start there with performance issues, but then it turned around, it came back, it fixed it, and we haven't really seen a detail drop on the world or anything like that. And quite frankly, I think the world in itself is really vibrant and interesting to look at, even though
Small.
even though it is really small, which does suck, especially seeing what we were supposed to get. But it is still visually appealing to look at.
I
And
agree. I completely agree.
and big thing about Anthem is it followed the age old music theory where you got this nice music playing in the background as you're free roaming and traveling and stuff like that. And as soon as action hits, it's like it's go time. Like let's throw in this intense music. You're in the thick of it. Let's go. And it really helps to enhance the mood of what's going on, and it really, I think, makes it feel more intense.
Right, and age-old practices are age-old for a reason because they
Yeah.
work.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that they did really well because I mean I've always really enjoyed the score that they've gone with for Anthem. It's just it for me it just stands out. I like the whole orchestra kind of vibe that it gives off, and I think that's just something special that it has about it. So, especially if they do end up fully revamping this game, I do hope that they keep that around because it really does. I think give it its own flair.
That sounds like a company, a career-ending move. Well, they're being sued by a lot of people.
Have you noticed anything? I mean, I know you said that
Did no one at the board of
you you don't notice a lot of it, but anything in particular that you noticed?
Well, as far as the audio, I completely agree with what you're saying. I've
Mhm.
always had I guess you could say, a soft spot for orchestral music.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the strong, especially the strong brass sections, stuff like that, really hits me
Yeah.
in a point, especially when you're in a combat situation, a stressful combat situation. You got the nice orchestral music with the brass section rising up. It gives me a sense of drive.
Yeah. I completely full heartedly agree. I think that plays to a very important part of I think just games in general. They don't have to be the same. They don't have to. It doesn't even have to be the same music. I just think that it helps the music if you're gonna especially incorporate it in there. It should help push you towards what you're doing.
We're just gonna completely lie. We're completely lie
But
Of course.
customers and our investors.
I think that I really do think that that's Anthem's big plus is I think their visuals and their audios because I feel like they didn't skimp on that. But I guess we'll just see because I think we've hit that point in time where it's now time to kind of go over everything and figure out our score for Anthem and then turn around and talk about some other things if we need to. So, Evan, where are you at score wise with with Anthem? Like factoring in everything. I don't. I was just gonna. I was just. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, it's hard. This one's hard for me because while again I said it before earlier in the video that I do like the game for what it is, but it's not what we were promised, and that I think is the one thing that really hits with me. And despite all of it, despite all of the good, it's just I guess I'm not gonna say the lies, but just the misinformation that we were given. I have to give it at least, let's say 4.5. And I would say 5, but again, it's just what we were promised is leaps and bounds ahead of what we actually got, and that's where I fall on it.
And that's fair. That's fair. I think that's a fair reason to give it a low score. And I'll be honest, this has been hard for me because,
this sets a good
I did the review for Cyberpunk and I gave it a 4.5.
game company.
So,
Like we're not gonna take
I've been sitting here struggling trying to figure out
oh yeah, you can just
where I want to put Anthem on this scale. And going over the information, was the game interesting? Was it fun to play? Was it, fulfilling story-wise? Is there anything that I don't like about it? Then I had to start factoring in, like you said, the misinformation. Although I'm almost tempted to bring it towards the lies again because, again, it's nothing like we were shown. But I think I fall to giving it just barely edging it over Cyberpunk 2077 and giving it a 5. So, rounding it out, I think we're going to end up with a score of 5 points for Anthem. So, not a great score by any means, but definitely not our worst. But that's all the time we have, guys. We've given you our scores. We've helped you figure it all out. So, we will see you guys later.